Mswati inkosi ithula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yotenza bakhe wone akayithathe
Happy Friday. Good morning. This is Kusile Breakfast Show, the 29th of May. The big weekend officially begins today.
Yeah, big weekend indeed, even for football fans, Lulu. UEFA Champions League, officially the last important game of all football across the world. We have wrapped up the Premier League of Eswatini. We have wrapped up the PSL, the Premier Soccer League in South Africa, the English Premier League in England, as well as the Bundesliga and the La Liga. What's left now is the biggest football tournament in the world, which is the UEFA Champions League, and that is going to be Arsenal versus PSG. Fabrice Msonera will join us in studio. We reflect on all the other leagues as well as look into what we should expect in this final game this weekend. Stay tuned for a very important conversation. Weekend Ngululu.
Yeah.
You excited to go and dance at Market?
I'm excited not only just to go and dance, but to also socialize and, for the entertainment as well. There's a lot of artists that I'm looking forward to. And just to refresh, and taste the different types of food sold at Bushfire. So
5 months into the year, we deserve.
But I'm not anticipating the traffic. The queues, the traffic.
Of course.
Yeah, I do not anticipate that. I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, hopefully Sita when I'm planning. And they did say Guti, they're expecting over 20,000 people, 23,000 people to be exact.
And we're expecting 25 million emalangeni to be exchanged in hands over this weekend, which is a lot of money. When people see traffic, us people who are now looking at things from an economic perspective, Lulu, we see economic activity. Certainly most of the cars that you will be seeing, a lot of them will be rented because a lot of the people that go to Bushfire now are people from outside of Eswatini. So it is good for an exchange that is going to happen this weekend in terms of our economy, and hopefully all the Maswati businesses and stores that will be staged there will make profits and be able to break even. Those spaces are above and everything. I think Lulu sithandazela ukuthi konke kuhambe kahle, abantu babe safe, labanye batabe bakhempile, labanye batabe bathathe ama substances sithe ukuze batijabulise, which is permissible in areas of that sort, but just thandazela ukuthi abantu babe safe.
Yeah, and also they should enjoy responsibly. I mean, this event is beneficial to many sectors: transport, industry, hospitality. A lot of hotels, lodges, and guest houses are fully booked this weekend. So now so very good, it's fully booked. So yes, it's beneficial for everyone. It's not just for entertainment only, but cool. I'm not going to leave in Joba. Last year, House on Fire or the M10 Bushfire Festival did report that a total amount of 121 million was injected to the Eswatini economy. So you can imagine, Guguti, this is a huge, big event indeed. So speaking to the CEO of the Eswatini Tourism Authority, Vusi Dlamini Kuva Vele Guguti, why should Emaswati and international tourists attend this event?
It's 3 minutes after 6. You're watching Kusile Breakfast Show. This is the Friday edition. This is the Bushfire weekend. It is also the UEFA Champions League weekend, but also unyazi lwezulu kangwane siyathi ustinkonzo nato tiyaphetha kuyo le mphela sonto sethembe ukuthi ke konke lokudakwendeka kule mphela sonto kutawube kumbathiswe ngeligama la Jesu. Sithembe ukuthi wonke umuntu utawuba safe. Kusile Breakfast Show is underway. After the break, Dinzabate Siswati di yabe di khona.
Yeah, kumjala mbukeli sabuya khona manje ngenzawo.
akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe
are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare that a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Angavusela ngolomhlengi iphindze ngikwathulele tindzaba namhla ekuseni. Inhlangano Beyond the Walls seyiphothule bafundzi labenta tifundvo tabongcondvomshini ye-IT programs. Labafundzi lebe baphothula ngulabagcinwe ekhatsi ejele laba bese bacala kwenta letifundvo. Lomcimbi wabo wekuphothula wendelo enyuvesi yase Southern Africa Nazarene University.
Inhlangano Beyond the World kwekucala ukuthi iphophulise bafundzi solo yaqala kusebenta ngeminyaka wa 2019. Bafundzi labaphofulile basikhombisa sebabonke ngephasi kwetifundvo labatenta tinyanga letisiphohlongo. Umsunguli Beyond the World Sabelo Mlangeni uthi kuyamfokotisa kubona imphumela lemihle.
We celebrate innovation, service, dedication and resilience. Values that define the work we do at Beyond the Walls. This marks the fourth cohort to benefit from the Beyond the Walls program, which began in March 2019. It has been a journey of creativity and learning, driven by our mission to ensure that no one is left behind.
Lobeka melele umphathi we-Correctional Service Bongani Khumalo uthi inhlangano Beyond the Wall idlala indima lenkhulu nakulabo labese baphelelwe lithemba njengoba baphola nemakhono labangadiphilisa ngawo.
We are grateful that SAN opened their hands and they warmly received our students. They came and wrote their exams here. And today, SAN has once again opened her doors for our students to graduate here. And we really appreciate what you have done, Vice Chancellor, and your executive committee.
Imvuna yelitiko letemfundvo umhlonishwa Owen Nqumalo ubongele inhlangano ngalomsebenzi lomuhle labawendako kanye ne-Correctional Service.
Bengacela nje lokuthi ungasheshi uyekele lento lena inhle kakhulu Mlangeni. Pheze ngeke ngibonge laba be-correctional lokuthi nje bayisekele ingonyama. Ingonyama sifuna kubona lokuthi rehabilitation ihamba kanjani bese bathi go beyond the barriers. Kakhulu Correctional Service. Thank you very much. Sitawubika nasengonyameni ukuthi niyasebenta noma lento lena ingonyama nyalo ithi bantu abakhele tindlu bantu abangalambi. He's so concerned. Definitely lokho nje nakufika etindlebeni tengonyama itawujabula kakhulu kuthi sive sayo lokho lenikwentako nikwenta isiveni sengonyama.
Lokhulumele bafundzi nokulunga simelane ubongele bona abafundzi ngaleli phuba labalipholile lekufundza. Uchazene ukuthi lokho kuletha lithemba kibo njengoba batawuphuma bakhone nekudiphilisa.
Siyabonga kakhulu lokho nje kusende nathi seva ngathi uyati asikalahlwa. Kwasenda seva ngathi uyati nathi siyakhumbuleka. Kwathi nalifika lelithuba kufunwa labangafundza sabang amongst labo labafuna nje kuyithatha ngemadudane noma ke ngekusheshsha lelithuba.
Mlangeni uchaze ukuthi basatoqhubeka bayinhlangano balethe yona imfumvo njengoba kuyindlela yekubambisa uhulumende kude sonke sive sikhone kuphola lwati kudo temfumvo. Kubika nompendulo Shabalala ananolwazi Ncamphalala kaManzini.
Litiko letemabhizinisini kuthengiselana litawusukumisa sikhwama lesitawusita ekutheni bosomabhizinisi bemculo nalabo labenda imikhiqido nemisebenzi labaticabangele yona bakhona ukuthi bangenele imibukiso yemhlaba kanye nemfundza sikolo kulamanye emave. Lokhu kuvetwe ngumcondzisi waka-intellectual property Dr. Celcolo Dlulu ngesikhathi ukugujwa lilanga lekuthuthukisa kufundwa kwetincwadzi tesiswati kulesikhathi setibciko kanye ne-intellectual property ehotela le The George kaManzini. Lemcimbi umcimbi bobanjwe ngaphansi kwesiqubulo lesibuka ukuthathwa kufundwa kwencwadi tesiswati kulesikhathi kanti-ke lo msebenzi bongenele imvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi lebekade imelelwe imvuna yetekhlela umnotho umhlonishwa Dr. Tambo Gina.
Imvuna ithi litiko liyiconza kahle inzima ledlalwa bosomabhizinisi labenta imisebenzi labaticabangele yona kungako ngaso sonke isikhathi liqinisa imithetho nemigomo yekuvikela imisebenzi yabo.
Whether through books, music, poetry, film, digital content, or oral storytelling, our creators carry the responsibility and privilege of documenting who we are as a people. However, creativity can only thrive where creators are respected, protected, and fairly rewarded.
Umhlonishwa uyaveta ukuthi liyaqiniswa netinhlelo tekuthi sive kanye netinhlangothi letahlukene letingadikhanza tisebentisa lo msebenzi tifundziswe ngendlela lefanele tiwusebentise ngayo kute labosomabhizinisi batowukhona kwakha inzuzo. Umphathi weluhlangothi laka Intellectual Property Dr. Celcolo Dludlu uthi sikhwama lesitawusukunyiswa i-Mobility Fund singulenye indlela yekwesekela bosomabhizinisi kulolu hlangothi ngekuthi bakhona ukubhekana netindleko tekuqhuba imabhizinisi abo.
In the digital age, stories no longer just cultural expressions, but they are economic assets. Stories create jobs, industries.
Dr. Dludlu uthi batawuphinze basukumise lihlelo lwekweluleka bosomabhizinisi ngebulukhuni lababhekana nabo i-wellness program. Umcondzisi waka-UNESCO Lwandle Simelane uyaveta ukuthi kumcokwa kwekuthi umsebenzi wabosomabhizinisi kulolu hlangothi ungathathwa nje kalula ikakhulu ngobe bayadimisela nabawenda kanti injongo kwekuthi bathole inzuzo lebonakalako.
I'm so happy I see Eskom here. I say this without hostility but with clarity. When you fill your schedule with content that is not made here, you are not being neutral. You are making a choice that tells our artists their work is not good enough for prime time, that tells our children their language is not the language of entertainment, is not the language of the creative economy.
Letinye titolo leting-15 lokufaka ikhathi emabhange tibe setiyaphakanyiswa ukuthi ngito lesetinemvumo yokudlala imiculo kanye naleminye imikhicito nemisebenzi emaswati laticabangele yona nomekela yakhile. Mmeli Hlanze umcondzisi we-Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society uthi kusukela ngemsombuluko bosomabhizinisi sebangatifaka ticelo esikhwameni semali leng-100,000 emalangeni sekubasita lesisukunyiswe imvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi eminyakeni lophelile. Lobikako nginelisuwendla ngamandla kunavuma inkosi inzinisa kaManzini.
Live laseSwatini, Mozambique kanye South Africa sekasukumisana somsemfeni luhlelo lokubambisana etindzabeni tekwabelana nekusebenzisa imali lolwatwa nge-GF8 lusekelwe ngemali lenga nga 7.1 million US dollars. Luhlelo luhlose kuqinisa tinhlelo tekumelana nesimo seguquko isimo selitulu kugcinwane konke kwemvelo ngaphansi kwehlelo lokwabelana imali emkhatsini kwalamavela amathathu iNkomati kanye neMaputo River Basins. Lomsebenzi usukumisana somsemfeni imvuna yelitiko letemciba phansi nemandla umhlonishwa uMpharenkosi Longokhela kanye nemvuna yelitiko letekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo umhlonishwa Jane Simelane ehhotela le-Royal Villas.
Lolu hlelo lwe-GF8 project lusukunyiselwe ukuqinisa kwabelana kwemandi kulamavi lamathathu kube kuliwa nenkinga iguquka kwesimo selitulu kugedvuka kwemhlaba kanye nekukhula kwesidingo semandi kulesifundza. Imvuna yelitiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla umhlonishwa uMpharenkosi Longokhela ithi-ke lolu hlelo lukhombisa isidingo sekushintsha indlela yekusebenta ngendlela yekuthi emave asebende ngekubambisana.
Our world requires a systems change rather than isolated interventions. That is why strengthening integrated transboundary management of the Nkomati and Maputo River basins is designed not in a vacuum, but as an integrated approach.
Umpharenkosi uthi lolu hlelo lutawusita ukuthi luhlanganise kutfutfukisa iminotfo kanye-ke nekuvikelwa kwemvelo ngekuhlanganisa indlela leyatiwa ngele source to sea management. Indvuna yelitiko letekuvakasha nendzaba temvelo umhlonishwa Jane Simelane lokungiyona ibuke lolu hlelo pheceleti Jeff Focal Minister ithi-ke lolu hlelo luluphawu lekuhlanyela elihlangothini lokwengiwa kwayo yonke imvelo nekulwa nekuguquka kwesimo selitulu.
This project goes beyond water management. It is a strategic investment in biodiversity, conservation, ecosystem resilience, climate adaptation, and sustainable development across a shared transboundary landscape.
Indvuna ithi i-Global Environment Facility, i-GEF, ihlanyele imali lenganga 7.1 million US dollars, kanti-ke lamave lamathathu wona afake 64 million US dollars. Umcondzisi welihlangothi lwemanti eSouth Africa, Silo Keva, uthi lolu hlelo lutawuniketa umkhombandlela locacile wekuthi kutawusebenteka kanjani kule minyaka lesithupha.
These basins face increasing pressures arising from climate variability, population growth, environmental degradation, competing water demands.
Uthi lolu hlelo lwemanti libhekene netinkinga letimatima letifaka ekhatsi kuguquka kwesimo selitulu. Uthi-ke lolu hlelo lukhombisa inshisekelo yalamave umathatfu ekusombulula letinkinga. Ana Fortune Mponda lomelele leMozambique uthi-ke lolu hlelo lolu lubaluleke kakhulu kubo njengoba leMozambique lihle libhekana netinkinga letifaka ekhatsi tikhukhula. Uthi-ke bantfu baseMozambique batawuzuza kulolu hlelo ikakhulu labo labakhelene nalomfula wenkomati labafaka ekhatsi labalimako lokuyintfo letawutfutfukisa kuphila kwesive. Hendrik Franklin lomelele inhlangano yakamhlaba yetentfutfuko uthi indzaba yemanti kanye netinkinga teguquka kwesimo selitulu atiyibuki imingcele.
Water does not recognize national borders. Climate shocks do not stop at checkpoints. Droughts, floods, ecosystem degradation, and growing water demand increasingly bind our futures together.
Uthi-ke inkomati nemaputo basin solo tinhlelo letimcoka kakhulu kutekulima, tekuvakasha, kuphehlwa kwagesi kanye nasekukhicitweni kwekudla kanye nekutfutfukisa nje kuphila kwebantfu. Lolu hlelo lukhombisa kutibophelela kwalamave emgomeni wenhlangano yemave esifundza lesenders ne-Afrika wekwabelana emanti luphindze-ke lihambisane ngco nemgomo wenhlangano yemave ase-Afrika ye-African Union Agenda 2063 kanye nentfutfuko lekhonsako yakamhlaba icinisekiseni kutfolakala kwemanti lahlobile kanye nekunakekeleka kwemvelo. Kubika Sondomlangeni nginaCalisile Mavimbela ezulwini.
Live laseSwatini lilungele kwemukela tivakashi letibheke ukuthi titheleke kuleli kusukela ngaleSihlanu ukuthi ongena lomcimbi lomkhulu we-MTN Bushfire Festival. Indvuna yelitiko letekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo umhlonishwa Jane Simelane ithi litiko likhonile kucecesha cishe bonke labatsintekako kuleti tekuvakasha ngetindzaba tekuphathwa kwetivakashi.
Silungele kusukela bangena emagedeni, ngaba semagedeni ngaba sema-airport sonke sime ngemumo. Kungaba ngemahhotela lapha batawuhlala khona, ema-trainings kwendiwe ama-trainings ngokuthi bantfu baphatheke kahle, sabatrainer futhi nangema-standards ngokuthi bantfu nabafika emahhotela nasi standard lesibhekekile ngokuthi tivakashi tisikhanze emahhotela ne-service kanjalo. Ma-tour operators nawo atrainiwe kakhulu. Sendlula futhi saba nale relationship yethu nalamave lo kungu Thailand. Na Thailand naye sibe nayo imihlangano na Thailand. Lokusho kona ukuthi sime ngemumo. Lokunye ke lesitame kokuthi sikuqiniqinise indzaba lethi tivakashi siyafuna ukuthi tihlale emalanga lasihlanu even. Setamile ngayo yonke indlela through ema-trainings ethu kokuthi bantfu sibakhuthate kokuthi bahlale emalanga lasihlanu noma lengcako. Lokunye kulungela kwetfu lesinako ngilokwe kuthi etikhatsini letiningi bokhanza ukuthi labanye nabeta even bebahamba through South Africa kutfola emavisa ekungena even. Ukhanze ukuthi mhlambe line lidze eSouth Africa abasakhona kungena. Nyalo-ke sinema-routes lamaningi langena even la sebentisa indiza. Sina Harare lose amusha, sina Zambia lose amusha. Lokusho kona kokuthi awusadingi ukuhamba via South Africa kuthola visa, but so ungakhona kumbypassa South Africa.
Hulumende uthi utawuyisekela isebenta National Institute etitsengetayo ngoba idlala indima enkulu ekufundiseni ngemakhono lokunciphisa isibalo sebantfu labangasebenzi kakhulu kubantfu labasha. Isebenta National Institute iphothule bafundzi labebenta tifundvo temakhono.
Labafunzi bebaphothula abalikhulu nalabalishumi 110 kanti bebafundza tifundvo etifaka ekhatsi ukuthunga, kuplamba, sifundo se-ICT, se-computer, i-construction nesifundo se-electrical. Lokukhumelela abafunzi Sandile Nzingane uthe bafunze emakhono nekutiphilisa esikhatsini lapho khona emathuba emisebenzi yasashabalele. Wathi lebe kuyinkinga lenkulu kuba bede kwemali leyanele yokufunza nekuthenga leto tidzingo lebafunza ngato.
We also face challenges along the way, especially when it comes to paying institution fees. Many students struggle financially, but we are grateful because the institution was patient, understanding, supportive during these difficult times.
Wenze wacela kuhulumende wembuke ukuthi nabo bangusebenta ababone kumaphakelo. Kanti umphathi wakasebenta Themba Kosimamba yena uthi bafunzi baphuma nemakhono langiwo bayileke nekufunza umsebenzi etinkampanini phecelezi internship babuye nemphumela lomuhle. Mamba uthi isebenta National Institute iphokophele kukhicita abafunzi labanemakhono langiwo latawubambisa live.
All these learners that you see here, all these that are graduating today, more than going to class and doing those practical things that they were showing us outside.
Lo akamamba uthi basebenta ngokuthi khandla kuqinisekisa ukuthi abafunzi lesebacetse esikolwa nebantfu labasha bayafinyelela kutemfundo ngemfundo yemakhono. Wacela ke phinzeke wavakalisa kudumala kwakhe ngemethuba emisebenzi lakathuke avela kodwa ke ukhanze ukuthi kudzingakala umuntu lo sanelikhono noma ke lone experience lengcawe eminyakeni lelishumi lokumangalisaka ukuthi bayithatha le experience ngoba phela basuke bathanza kuphuma emanyuvesi nasemakolishi. Wacela ukuthi babanike kude ukuthi bakhone ukuthi bende lokho labakufunzile kuteke bathole leyo experience lekukhulunywa ngayo. Mapalanelo omkhulu etikolo temfundo nanekimnisi uthi batawuqinisekisa ukuthi isebenta iyabalwa kumaphakelo njengoba uyabonakala umsebenzi.
As a ministry, we will support Sebenta to ensure that labantwana beMaswati have access to high quality lifelong learning opportunities that develop adequate competencies and character qualities. So the graduate here who was speaking on behalf of the students, I'm echoing his words. We will support Sebenta and we will canvas for better budget.
Bekuyinjabulo ke kubatali nebafunzi labanye bakhangisa ngalebe bakuthunga. Lobeka ngugiyani Msibi ngisembabane.
I-National Malaria Control Program isemkhankasweni wekuqinisa hlelo lekusebenta kutele inhlangano yilwe namalala eveva. Le nhlangano ichazele inhlangano yetempilo kamhlaba i-WHO ukuthi kuphi nelihlaka lwayo lekusebenta i-strategic plan ukuthi batawubambisa kanjani le nhlangano yokulweni namalala eveva eveni.
So ahambile ke mathimba bekangenile nje aphumile ayeme emangweni ayeme emtholampilo yakangwane so abiya nema findings. So namuhla silana sihlangene nema stakeholders ethu kuto presenter lama findings leswatfolile nasihamba sefieldini. So silapha nje also to ukuthi sivumelane sima stakeholders nelitiko letempilo ukuthi lama findings angawo yini bese sibuka nalama recommendations WHO ema external team yethu libe si craftele wona ema recommendations ukuthi si leave ayasebenteka yini ngoba asifune ama-recommendations khanze sina sebahambile siphindze sehluleke ukuthi siwasebente siwakhulumise silive. So silana nje ukuthi sitovumelana ngako konke ngalama-findings ukuthi angawo nema-recommendations ayasebenteka yini kokuthi ngawo yini mbambalato sibeka egolini lefuna le-elimination silive. Lokunye nje ku-part of le review lihlangosile salibuka kakhulu lebesilibuka kakhulu ukuthi letimali sisifuna kum-eliminate Malaleveva bekubukwa nalosi letimali tikhona yini tenele yini. So le exercise lena nje imcoka kakhulu eveni ngoba futhi naku Global Fund kukhona icycle letako GC8 ngoba nyalo sek-GC7. So with the review itosita kokuthi also informe yatise i-application yethu ukuthi silive sithena senda i-review ema-gaps angakuphi.
Ngakemidlalo umqeqeshi womdlalo we-rugby longumaka wakuleli Penelope Simelane uthi bekumcoka ukuthi kube khona longenela tifundvo tekubuka kungahlangabeteki pheceleti safeguarding kubadlali be-rugby njengoba kuhlukubeteka kunciphisa tinombolo talabo labafisa kudlala umdlalo. Simelane bekakhuluma nakangenela umhlangano scholar we-safeguarding edolobheni laseKapa eveni laseNingizimu Afrika.
Idlalwe kahle ngalokuphephile wonke umuntu lodlalako kusukela emntwaneni onke ama-officials live i-governance konke lophathelene nepatali ukuthi senda njani ukuthi umfana adlale kahle namtala akhululeke ukuthi umfana uphomile uyodlala uphephile futhi ugathekile. Into lenkulu lesiyifundzile lana ukuthi wonke umuntu ufanele ukuthi aende kulithuba lakhe ukuthi kudlala kube ngilokuphephile kube bedele nyukubekako kube bedele nalo hlala anedingcinamba asabe nekudlala. Siyacela nekuthi sisadlala sitawusebenzisa i-culture yethu angeke sisuke kiyo kodwa sitawubuka indlela leti tawuhambisana nayo kuze ukuthi wonke lofunako kudlala angadikhanze sekaphumile kuma-roots akhe kodwa aqhubeke adlale solo anako. Sinalokuthi nje satawuchubeka sende lo mbuthano sifisa ukuthi wonke umuntu nelive lithuthuke nemisebenzi bantwana ezibasadlala batawugcine bayithola lithuthuke live lethu.
Sitawuthatha likhefu ngolumhle sibahlole imakethe nasibuya lihlelo liyachubeka.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi aba-researche bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhiqiza lokusendile.
Welcome back. It's a beautiful Friday morning. New weekend. It is the MTN Bushfire weekend. We are expecting about 23,000 abantu to attend the MTN Bushfire this year. At last year's Bushfire, according to House on Fire, is an estimated 121 million emalangeni. To attend the Bushfire Festival. We are joined by the CEO of the Eswatini Tourism Authority, Lamini, to give us perspective ye tourism sector ipusteka kanganani with the MTN Bushfire Festival. Nkosi, a very good morning. Thank you for coming through this morning. Weekend Lengulu, as I've said, my visitors are ngena yesterday. I assume nanamuhla nje bayaqhubeka bayangena. There's queues already in traffic at House on Fire Malkans. Speaking of the injection lengeniswa MTN Bushfire Festival, last year they made 121 million emalangeni. Let's talk about le boost layer to the economy. You know, kunema hotel lazuzako, kuneba mpaka transport, ma SMEs labazuzako, bomake laba lapha ekumahlanya lebenda imisebenzi yetandla. How important is le festival lena to Eswatini?
Thank you. Yes, the bushfire is actually a very important event in the calendar of the Kingdom of Eswatini, particularly from a tourism point of view. We are well aware that as a country we are targeting to attract 2 million tourists by 2027, and having the sector itself, the tourism sector, contribute some 2 billion to the country's gross domestic product, the GDP. So an amount of 121 million, like MTN Bushfire reported for 2025, it's a significant amount in terms of contributing to the country's economy. So it's quite huge, and it's not only benefiting the formal sector, but I think the informal sector, like we've mentioned, is also benefiting in a big way. This for us is not just the numbers in terms of contribution to the country's GDP. It's also the jobs that are created during that period. I think if you look at the report that they published, it also speaks to about 23,000 tourists arriving or people coming for the bushfire. But that's quite a huge number. We hope that in the year the number will increase. But it also contributes to the number of jobs that are being created. The report again mentions some 2,300 jobs that were created during that period, which is quite a significant amount in terms of job creation in an event like the bushfire.
Yeah. So how big is the Bushfire Festival in Nkosi, and why should someone who hasn't attended the festival attend this year and the coming years?
Well, it's a big event. It's a huge event. I think we what we like mainly is that it's so well organized, and it's grown from strength to strength over the years. I mean, if you go back 2 years when it started, you can actually see that every year it is actually growing. For us, if we want to encourage people to actually be part of it, it's a function of, you are going out there, you are going to mingle with people, you are going out there, you are going to enjoy yourself, and also not just enjoy yourself. I mean, those people that will be coming from outside the country, we also see that the bushfire also has an element of our cultural heritage. You can see that as a country we also try and showcase our cultural heritage. So it's one event that we encourage people to to participate in, particularly because of that. And you're asking how huge it is. It is a huge event. I think when we go out to promote the destination in various shows, we have actually taken with us the bushfire as an event as well, and we do activations with them. So you can actually see how popular it is at international level, and it puts the country on top in terms of a tourist destination as well.
For a tiny country, tiny kingdom, it's quite impressive that we're able to, draw that big number of tourists into the country. And speaking of that, Ngozi, are there any collaborations, any partnerships with MTN Bushfire to be able to keep visitors long in the country? On packages la khona la hleliwe ukuthi hayi abangadeli MTN Bushfire Festival iphela, but also visit the country, for other tourist destinations, tourist attractions.
Yeah, I think that's one very key thing that we really encourage. I mean, like you rightfully say, we're expecting people not to just arrive today on the Friday. We expect that they should arrive a little bit earlier. Now, if they arrive a little bit earlier, it then makes them to actually spend a little bit more time and more resources actually in our kingdom, and they are able to see other places that they would probably have not have seen if they were coming purely for the bushfire. I think having said that, the other critical thing that we need to also appreciate from a tourism point of view is that from a packages point of view, you're talking packages, we always encourage the private sector, because packages ordinarily, they are not necessarily supposed to be driven by the tourism authority, as it were. They're supposed to be driven by private sector. These are the people that should create packages, but work with MTN Bushfire to see how they can package things as tour operators, so that when tourists are here, they are not just here. Our visitors are here not just for bushfire, but also they are able to experience the country. We have seen quite a number of the tour operators local doing some packages as well in that regard, and we really encourage them to do a little bit more going into the future.
Yeah, let's talk about safety for visitors into the country. I think safety, of course, is a big factor, when it comes to tourism, and I think I've seen quite a few comments on social media about praise MTN Bushfire ukuthi, actually they love the MTN Bushfire because the crime rate in Eswatini is very low, ngabe umcwanga nani ukuthi vele as a country nakhona we keep up the good work and is safety, because kuba bede udlame leselibike ukuthi sekwendeke lokhu, MTN Bushfire. How crucial is it also ukuthi nayo safety ibuketwe ibe ngileyo lihamba embili?
Safety, like you say, is one of the key things that a visitor would look for when they are visiting any particular country. I think if I were to say to you today, which country do you want to go to, you would want to go to a country where you know that you are going to be very safe, where you are going to be comfortable, where you are going to feel at home. So I think the one key thing that we really pride ourselves with as the Kingdom of Eswatini is exactly that. It is the peace, the tranquility, and the safety. I think we did a research sometime last year, and one of the key things that we have seen from that research, feedback that we are getting from people coming into the country for bushfire, for any other activities or tourists that come to the country, is that when they go through the border, immediately they go through the borders to come into the country, they can actually feel that relief that they're in a peaceful country, they're in a safe country. The other day I was speaking to someone, and she was telling me how a tourist had a situation where they moved from place to place, and then it got dark and they couldn't find their way back to where they were supposed to be staying. And eventually he met with two guys, young guys, that were able to actually help him to get to exactly where he was supposed to be staying. That, for me, is the safety that we are talking about. So MTN Bushfire, we also appreciate that it is one event that is being seen from that light.
Yeah. In other sectors, laba zuzago in this, in this festival is the hotels, the guest houses, the lodges, See, I don't know, there's a campsite at Bushfire Festival, but there's other people that want to booking hotels. So what is the occupancy rate during the Bushfire Festival?
Well, to the Manzini Mbabane corridor particularly, you find that during MTN bushfire it's almost close to full occupancy. But of course there is now the advent of camping, because other people prefer to use other means of accommodation like camping. But we do know that the formal accommodation, they also benefit in a huge way, and you will find that the occupancy would exceed average of 80-90%, going to 100% for certain establishments during this period. Sometimes you find that when it's really full, the establishments that are even outside of the Mbabane-Manzini corridor also start benefiting. So it's a really huge benefit for the economy, particularly for the accommodation sector as well.
So it's also an opportunity for business entrepreneurs, to build their own lodges, apartments around Malkans, Eswatini and Mbabane as well.
Yes, it may result in that possibility where people see a business opportunity. Of course, business people will not only look at an event like this, they will look at the event itself, yes, and put up structures that they may use, but of course they then need to look beyond that. But it is a good opportunity for them to actually invest and so that we can have more accommodation outlets in the country. I mean, I'm not really trying to mix it up with the newly opened International Convention Center, the Palazzo Eswatini. But the reality of it is that if you invest in that accommodation establishment, because an event like the MTN bushfire is happening, it also then presents an opportunity for you in the future where when the ICC is fully operational, then you know that you are also likely to benefit from an accommodation point of view.
All right, so it's the authorities' mandate to promote or market the country. How is the ETA using the MTN Bushfire Festival to position Eswatini as a cultural tourism destination for international tourists?
Well, we do partner quite in a big way with MTN Bushfire to promote the destination. We do go out with them when we are going to these shows and to do activations as well together with them. And we do believe that there are also activations that they do on their own without necessarily the Eswatini Tourism Authority. But we also appreciate the fact that as they do that, they are not only promoting MTN Bushfire, but they are promoting the destination. So at the end of the day, it's a win for the country, not necessarily purely for MTN Bushfire.
Yeah. So how do you measure success? Because, after the Bushfire Festival, do you release a report for stakeholders and the public, the nation at large, which would say Bushfire Festival was a success? I do recall that you do release a statistical monthly report, but also do you actually, do a report on the MTN Festival, Bushfire Festival?
What MTN Bushfire does, I think they've partnered with the National University, Northwest University, actually, in terms of collating the data. You spoke of the data of 121 million approximate that they made during bushfire, and at the moment they have partnered with the university, the Northwest University, to actually collate that data from an economic impact of the bushfire itself. But normally our interest as the ETA as well is to check how much of people, because remember, when we're talking about the bushfire, we are not talking purely the people that are coming from outside the country visiting the bushfire. It's also people that are going to the bushfire are also local people. So when we're talking people that went to the bushfire, we're talking pretty much everyone. But also our interest would be in knowing how many were coming through our borders during that weekend. So normally we would release that report of how many people actually came through in our borders during that period, and particularly because we know it was an event, bushfire, just like we do for other events like Umhlanga, like we do for the events like Ingwala and Bukano, where we then try and check how many people actually went through our borders into the country, particularly during the weekends where we are having those events. So we do measure that. But the biggest measure, like we know, is what then the report that is being published by the MTN bushfire itself in terms of the economic impact. I think people coming through the country is one thing, but the economic impact is the most important.
Right. So the people that are visiting bushfire for the first time, and probably they've extended their stay in Eswatini, they want to do other, interesting things in the country. What are some of these things, that they should not miss out? Definitely.
Well, depending on people's interests, I think there's really so many interests from different people when it comes to the type of people that are coming through for the bushfire event. Other people would like to visit game parks, and we know that there's a few that we have next to just Malkans. We've got Lilwane. People can actually visit that. We also would encourage people to visit our Mandenga Cultural Village, just to see what exactly is the way of life for Maswati. That's one of the things that we would encourage them not to miss. As they go out of the country, we would encourage them to utilize. We've got one of the premium products in the region at Malolocha, the canopy tour. It's one of the best that when you ask people that have done canopy tours, they will tell you that it's one of the best. So we also encourage them to. No, it's not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's we do have the canopy tour. So we know there is Sibebe as well as the rock, one of the oldest in the world, and we would encourage people to just go and see that as well. So there's quite a lot that people can actually do as
in the country. Yeah. We talked about earlier on. We talked about safety as being a huge factor to the MTN Bushfire Festival, and also cleanliness. And goes kumqoka ukuthi live lo livakashelako lihlobe nakhona kubalekangana nokuthi vele madolobha keep their cities clean.
Yeah, very important, and we really appreciate also that MTN Bushfire actually embraces that concept of a clean environment. I think if you go there, you see how they are actually disposing of most of the things that are being used there and how they are reusing certain things. So that's the one thing that we also appreciate from MTN Bushfire, that it's not about just the music, it's also about this happening within an environmentally sensitive setting. But of course singawacela eMaswati ukuthi sichubeke silende live laseSwatini ukuthi lichubeke libe ngelihlobile, singalahli tibi phasi, and ensure that we keep it clean and before and after the MTN Bushfire Festival.
Yeah, kuningi lokutane bushfire Nkosi njengoba sashintsho ukuthi job opportunities lokwana and also lokungichaza kakhulu ngema vendors nawo laba la ngaphandle bathengisa inhlobonhlobo 13 nabo make labende imisebenzi yetandla bathengisa imvo letinhle nako lokho nje basitakala kanganani vele bona labo make lapho le event le.
When you talk, I mentioned earlier that it can be formal and informal. Those you'll probably be seeing under the informal sector of the economy, and they benefit in a huge way. I think you can see when the people around Mahlanya, you can see the benefit and the excitement when the bushfire is happening, that they are actually there and they are able to sell their wares, they are able to sell food, they are able to sell all sorts of things to the people that are coming there. So it's a huge benefit as well to the community around Mahlanya. Or I would say Lobamba Lomtsala area particularly.
Yeah, I mean, it's too late now to purchase tickets. MTN Bushfire, they've been sold out. But for next year, what would you say to encourage Maswati and international tourists to come through to the bushfire to experience the vibe, the entertainments, the beauty of Eswatini culture, Gonkenji, actually that happens at the festival?
Yeah. The beauty, like we all know, is that MTN Bushfire is happening this weekend, and immediately after the event, they will announce when the next one is happening. So it makes it easy for everyone to know when it's happening. For the international tourists, it becomes easy for them when they check out to actually book again their accommodation for the next edition of the MTN Bushfire. But also for Maswat, we can encourage them to take advantage, because within a few weeks after once the MTN Bushfire has ended, they will announce tickets availability, and we encourage people to actually purchase them well on time so that we avoid the last minute scramble.
Yeah, your parting message, Ngozi, on responsible behavior this weekend.
Of course, we want to encourage everyone to go there, and we know there's lots of things that would be happening at the MTN Bushfire, but we encourage everyone to siphathane kahle and continue to be the hospitable people that we are as a Maswati, and take care of our tourists as they are in the country. And like I mentioned earlier, there is a story that was told by someone of the two guys that assisted someone that was actually not knowing anymore where they are supposed to be staying, and they're lost. And let's continue with that spirit of assisting that encourages people to actually come back to our beautiful country, which then at the end of the day boosts our own economy. And we also want to encourage that as we drive, let's ensure that we are not drinking and driving. Let's arrange ourselves such that we have someone that's going to drive us. I think they always arrange as well transport that can move people from place to place. So let's take advantage of that so that we avoid accidents in our roads and have a safe MTN Bushfire event.
All right, thank you, Ngozi, for your time. Well, there you have it, Maswatle Mahle Lomuhla. All roads lead to Marcan's Head House on Fire for the MTN Bushfire Festival. This is the 19th edition. So, yeah, it's too late now to purchase your ticket because they've been sold out. But again, next year to attend. Surely, so we're looking forward to attend this event later today. Let's go for a break. Sabi Okanamanja.
First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate His Majesty on serving the nation for 40 years. It is a really great milestone that we are all proud of as a Maswati.
Libito lami ngiwandile ngwakamotha. Kulo msakato sengineminyaka lengu-23 ngisebenza kiyo.
Igama lami ngu-Kosinathi Mabusela. Ngisebenzile vele ka-Swazi TV kusukela nga-1979 to 2014. Ngagcina-ke sengu-editor in chief khona.
In 1986, the Kingdom of Eswatini welcomed a young monarch, His Majesty King Mswati III, whose reign would usher in a new chapter of vision, unity, and pride. That same year, Eswatini television stood as the kingdom's window to the world, capturing the hopes, voices, and dreams of a nation rising with its king. As His Majesty the King guided the nation through its formative years, Eswatini television grew into the heartbeat of national expression. From community stories to national events, every frame carried the pride, rhythm, and the voice of a kingdom united by its king.
Walekelela live umsakazo. Walekelela ingonyama ngaloko ukuthi phela nawe i-public broadcaster kufuna ukhulume leqiniso njengemfundisi. Umsakazo ke usita lapha ekuthini na usheshe wayikhipha indzaba lenye iyasitha ekuthini awu sekuyashangala sekusheshe kutholakala ama-solutions akusinje lokhu sonke isikhathi kuhleba lomunye kuceba lomunye no kwekualetha lelive lonke lithi-ke ngema-structures alo kube nesikhathi lokuthi lilungise leto tinto letonakalayo.
I'd say you're right. We are a public broadcaster, and being a public broadcaster means we exist to provide a public service. And it is a public service of educating, informing, and entertaining eMaswati. Particularly doing all these elements through the Swazi way, or telling the story of Eswatini, and also carrying and propagating the message and the vision of His Majesty the King.
Under His Majesty's guidance, Eswatini television became the stage for empowerment. New voices rose. Women led, youth found their calling, telling stories of culture, resilience, and hope.
His Majesty's reign reminds us that media can educate and empower. We tell stories that celebrate Eswatini's identity.
Guided by His Majesty's vision of modernization, Eswatini television embraced innovation, evolving from analog to digital, from one channel to a network that connects every corner of the kingdom. Through technology, we carried the royal message of unity, of peace and progress to every screen and every heart.
Itolo kusakada kwethu bese kubita ngalesilungu ukuthi ku-analog. Lokusho ukuthi ku-signal engidawuthi mhlawumbe ngile final product lefika emakhaya bokhanza ukuthi kukhona kufitsitela kwemsindo kukhona kufitsitela kwesithombe lobe kukhanza ke ukuthi uzodwa ukhanza umuntu omdzalo umisa umntwana hey ijikisa uyibhekisele ukhanza sigcina sithombe lemsindo kuvakala ngconywana akhona ebuyela umuntu omdzalo emakhaya.
Today, as Eswatini celebrates His Majesty King Mswati III's 40th year on the throne, we look back with such pride. For 4 decades, Eswatini television has carried the King's vision across time, preserving the memory, the message, and the majesty of our nation's story.
Eswatini TV has been that conduit that carries the voice of His Majesty the King over his 40 years of reign. His Majesty the King, through different forums, including Sibaya, speaks great messages in terms of the direction that the country should take, in terms of guidance to eMaswati, in terms of also just inspiring the nation. Eswatini TV carries those messages to the entire country and the rest of the world.
40 years of the King, 40 years of the nation's voice. Eswatini television salutes His Majesty King Mswati III, our beacon of unity, culture, and progress. Long live the King. Long live Eswatini.
Attention retailers, importers, clearing agents, and customs brokers. All television sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini now require mandatory ESTVA authorization before customs clearance. No clearance without valid ESTVA import permit. Don't risk delays at the border. Submit your application 24 to 48 hours before your shipment arrives. We process complete applications in just 1 to 2 working days. Our QR-coded permits make the verification quick and easy. Always double-check your HS codes and quantities for smooth compliance. The process is simple. Step 1. Submit your completed application form. Annex A with product line items for TVs, decoders, and commercial invoice. Step 2. Eswatini TV reviews and approves. Step 3. Make payment and complete verification. Step 4. Receive your permit. Step 5. Clear customs smoothly at the border. Make sure you have all your required documents, a completed application form, Annex A detailing your product line items, commercial invoice, valid TV retailer license, and letter of authority if applicable. Our permits feature QR codes for easy border verification. For assistance, email us at license@eswatinitv.co.za or call our help desk. Apply before your shipment arrives. Ensure compliance and avoid delays. Remember, all TV sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a valid ESTVA import permit. Thank you. Act now.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Good morning once again. In our English News Bulletin this morning, the Beyond the Walls organization has celebrated the graduation of students who were enrolled in IT programs while serving in correctional facilities. The initiative aims to empower inmates through education and equip them with skills that can help them reintegrate into society after their release. The graduation ceremony took place at the Southern African Nazarene University.
The Beyond the Wall organization has, for the first time since its establishment in 2019, successfully graduated students. The graduates completed an 8-month education program under the organization's initiatives. The founder of the Beyond the Wall, Sabelo Mlangeni, says he is pleased to see such positive results from the program.
We celebrate innovation, service, dedication, and resilience, values that define the work we do at Beyond the Walls. This marks the 4th cohort to benefit from the Beyond the Walls program, which began in March 2019. It has been a journey of creativity and learning, driven by our mission to ensure that no one is left behind.
The representative of Correctional Service, Bongani Khumalo, says the Beyond the Walls organizations plays a major role in supporting those who had lost hope as they are given skills that can help them rebuild their lives.
We are grateful that SAN opened their hands and they warmly received our students. They came and wrote their exams here. And today, SAN has once again opened her doors for our students to graduate here. And we really appreciate what you have done, Vice Chancellor, and your executive committee.
Bengacela nje lokuthi ungasheshi uyekele lento lena inhle kakhulu Mlangeni. Phize ngeke ngibonge laba be correctional. Lokuthi nje bayisekele ingonyama. Ingonyama sifuna kubona lokuthi rehabilitation ihamba kanjani. Bese bathi go beyond the barriers.
The Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Ngumalo, has commended the organization for the important work it is doing in empowering inmates through education and skills development. He also praised the Correctional Service Department for its continued support and collaboration in ensuring the success of these programs.
Siyabonga kakhulu lokho nje kusende nathi seva ngathi uyati asikalahlwa. Kwasenda seva ngathi uyati nathi siyakhumbuleka.
Nokulunga Simelane, one of the graduates, has praised her fellow inmates for taking advantage of the opportunity to study. She said the programs give them hope that when they are released, they will be able to support themselves and earn a living. Mlangen explained that they will continue to carry on as an organization to provide education, as it is a way of supporting government efforts to ensure that all citizens have access to education and knowledge. Reporting, Nombendolo Shabalala and Nolwazi Ngamphalala, Manzini.
A mobility fund will be established that will help in setting some of the costs of local creative arts industry businesses. This has been shared by the Registrar of the Intellectual Property, Dr. Kusile, during the celebration of the World Book and Copyright Day at the Church Hotel in Manzini. The event was attended by the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, who was represented by the Minister for Economic Planning, Dr. Tambugina.
Whether through books, music, poetry, film, digital content, or oral storytelling, our creators carry the responsibility and privilege of documenting who we are as a people. However, creativity can only thrive where creators are respected, protected, and fairly rewarded. This is where copyright becomes critically important. Copyright protection ensures that creators retain recognition and derive economic benefit from their work.
Dr. Celukolo Dlulu, Registrar of Intellectual Property at the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, says over 300 creative artists have so far registered for copyright protection in the country.
In the digital age, stories no longer just cultural expressions, but they are economic assets. Stories create jobs, industries.
Dr. Dlulu says the Mobility Fund, which is yet to be launched, will support artists with financial assistance to help offset business-related costs, and the amount will be announced at a later stage. He states that artists will be encouraged to register with the Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society in order to benefit from this initiative. He further states that a social welfare fund is also underway and will focus on improving socio-economic security and well-being of creators and performers. The Secretary General of UNESCO, Lwandle Simelane, also shared remarks on the importance of supporting and protecting the country's creative industry.
I'm so happy I see ESICOM here. I say this without hostility, but with clarity. When you fill your schedule with content that is not made here, you are not being neutral. You are making a choice that tells our artists their work is not good enough for prime time, that tells our children their language is not the language of entertainment, is not the language of the creative economy.
Meanwhile, 15 companies, including banks, were recognized for obtaining licenses that allow them to legally play music at their premises, a contribution that ensures artists are fairly remunerated for their work. The executive director of the Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society says, as the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, announced the 100,000 initiative for the production of short films, and the call for applications for this goes live on Monday and will be accessible through the Society's website and social media pages. Reporting, Nelswin Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The Kingdom of Eswatini, Mozambique and South Africa have strengthened regional cooperation through the launch of a major transboundary water management project called the GF8 project, aimed at improving climate resilience, biodiversity conservation and sustainable development within the Inkomati and Maputo river basins. The project was launched by the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Honorable Kusile Kokela, together with the Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honorable Janice Melane, at the Royal Villas.
The GF8 project seeks to improve cooperation in managing shared water resources while addressing climate change, environmental degradation, and growing water demand across the region. The Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Honorable Prince Nkokela, says the project reflects the need for systems change rather than isolated interventions.
Our world requires a systems change rather than isolated interventions. That is why strengthening integrated transboundary management of the Nkomati and Maputo river basins is designed not in a vacuum, but as an integrated approach. We are here to align economic development with environmental stewardship, recognizing that humans and a healthy biosphere are interdependent. This project will focus on the following core components: the strengthening regional governance and transboundary institutional framework, and establishing a science-based management approach through a transboundary diagnosis analysis, strategic planning, and joint long-term investment via strategic action plan and national action plans.
The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honorable Jane Simelane, says the project represents a strategic investment in biodiversity conservation, climate adaptation, and sustainable development.
This project goes beyond water management. It is a strategic investment in biodiversity, conservation, ecosystem resilience, climate adaptation, and sustainable development across a shared transboundary landscape. With a JEF investment of $7.1 million US.
South Africa's Director of Water and Sanitation, Silo Keva, says the project will provide strategic guidance, accountability, and coordination throughout the next 6 years amid the challenges faced by the sector.
From climate variability, population growth, environmental degradation, combating water demands, and other socio-economic vulnerabilities. These are things that we experience on a daily basis. We have come across them in one way or another.
As bacias hidrográficas de Nkomati e Maputo,
Ana Fortine Mbonda, representing the Republic of Mozambique, says the project will also support livelihoods and strengthen agricultural development in affected communities. The UNDP resident representative Hendrik Franklin says water and climate change do not recognize national borders.
Water does not recognize national borders. Climate shocks do not stop at checkpoints. Droughts, floods, ecosystem degradation, and growing water demand increasingly bind our futures together. And because these challenges are shared, the solutions must also be shared.
The launch further reinforces regional commitments under the SADC water sharing agreements while advancing the African Union Agenda 2063 and Sustainable Development Goals on clean water, climate action, and sustainable ecosystems. Reporting, Sondomlangeni with Kusile Mavimbela, Ezulwini.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is ready to welcome tourists who will be flocking into the country for the MTN Bushfire Festival this weekend. The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honorable Jane Simelane, says the ministry has conducted training sessions for all stakeholders in the tourism and hospitality sector to ensure that visitors receive a royal experience during their stay in the kingdom.
Silungele kusukela bangena emagedeni. Ngaba semagedeni ngaba sema-airport sonke sime ngemumo kungaba ngemahhotela lapha batawuhlala khona ema-trainings endiwe.
The minister says the ministry has facilitated trainings for tour operators and hospitality sector to improve quality standards and service delivery. The minister says this demonstrates that all sectors are ready to welcome visitors. The minister further says the country has strengthened the Tri-Land Tourism Initiative as most tourists come from neighboring countries such as Mozambique and South Africa. The minister says the goal is to encourage tourists to stay in the country for 5 days or more. The minister adds that the country has positioned itself competitively with more tourism activities being introduced.
Government has pledged to support the Sebenda National Institute and ensure its inclusion in the national budget and government subvention. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education emphasized these words during the graduation of the Sebenda National Institute.
A total of 110 students graduated at Sebenda National Institute on Thursday who were doing subjects including sewing, plumbing, ICT, electrical, bricklaying, computer, construction, amongst other subjects. Sandile Nzingane spoke on behalf of the students, citing some challenges faced along the way, but said they are grateful for the skills acquired.
We also face challenges along the way, especially when it comes to paying institution fees. Many students struggled financially, but we are grateful because the institution was patient, understanding, supportive during these difficult times. This kindness gave many of us hope and opportunity to continue with our studies instead of giving up on our dreams. So we are therefore humbly requesting the Eswatini government and stakeholders to continue supporting and funding Sebenda National Institute. Investing in institutions like Sebenda is investing in the future of our country and empowering the youth with practical skills.
Sebenda National Institute CEO Thembi Nkosimamba says they exist to expand capabilities and competencies of the out-of-school youth and adults, which in turn reduce poverty.
All these learners that you see here, all these that are graduating today, more than going to class and doing those practical things that they were showing us outside, they've also been to internship in the different industries that we have around town. Ngiko namuhla sifuna ukuthi lama industries lasibambisako siyabonga nabo kakhulu, because we do not want to train bantu labatawuphuma bagcwele ipiyori bafike bangathi lutho bengaphandle.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Nani Kimnis, says women graduates shows efforts in promoting gender equality in the country. She says they fully support the wonderful work done by Sebenda.
As a ministry, we will support Sebenda to ensure that Labantwana Maswati have access to high quality lifelong learning opportunities that develop adequate competencies and character qualities. So the graduate here who was speaking on behalf of the students, I'm echoing his words. We will support Sebenda and we will canvass for better budget.
It was joy and jubilation amongst students and parents, with some students showcasing the work of their hands. Reporting, I am Kiani Msibi, Babane.
The National Malaria Control Program wants to strengthen its programs in the fight against malaria. The National Malaria Control Program shared its findings of the Malaria Strategic Plan with the World Health Organization. This follows NMCP's midterm review of the strategic plan.
We actually here as a program or as a ministry to present the findings of the review. For the past week, we've been out in the field doing a field validation exercise. So the purpose of today's meeting is to validate all those findings, also validate the finding from the DES report, the DES review, which we conducted during the past week. Also to mention, the review was not only on the implementation progress, but it also looked into depth, in depth, even our funding resources, and establish if we do have gaps, what can we do? Where can we mobilize more resources? So this is an exercise that will also inform the future resource mobilization strategy of the program. In a few months' time, we will be writing a concept or a funding request to Global Fund GC8, and this will be informed by our revised strategic plan, which we are revising today. So this came at the right time for us as a country to also do resource mobilization for us to be able to eliminate malaria in the country.
In developments from the courts, the High Court has dismissed an application by a suspended employee of the Anti-Corruption Commission who was challenging the legality of Acting Commissioner Maphevu Mkhatshwa's continued stay in office.
In a judgment on Thursday morning, Judge Bongani Dlamini ruled that the High Court does not have original jurisdiction to deal with employer and employees dispute, including matters relating to the suspension of employees. Suspended Anti-Corruption Commission Assistant Investigator Bonkosi Dlamini had asked the court to declare that Maphevu Mkhatshwa's continued occupation of office as acting commissioner of the commission is unlawful and inconsistent with the Prevention of Corruption Act. However, the court found that the matter mainly revolve around an employment dispute and should have been taken to the Industrial Court or SIMAC. The judge also referred to 2018 full bench decision, which confirmed that the ACC commissioner has legal authority to manage discipline and suspend employees of the commission. As a result, the High Court dismissed the application and ordered Bonkosi Dlamini to pay the cost of the case. In another matter in the Industrial Court, the Center for Financial Inclusion CFI Chief Executive Officer Sizakele Dlamini tells the court that the position of Chief Financial Officer Stembile Mabuza was declared redundant following a cabinet decision to merge the Center for Financial Inclusion into the Central Bank of Eswatini. Other respondents in the matter are the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Attorney General. The Crown stated that the restructuring was a government policy taken in the national interest to remove duplication of mandates and improve delivery of financial inclusion services. They further argued that the resettlement process was lawful and conducted through an independent consultant who was appointed to ensure compliance with labor laws. According to the affidavit, only 3 employees were declared redundant. Dlamini also stated that Mabuza was employed on a fixed-term contract, which started in January 2025 and was meant to run for 3 years. Court documents show that Mabuza received a termination letter informing her that her position would become redundant at the end of March 2026. Dlamini says Mabuza was offered a redundancy package of over 200,000 emalangeni together with her accrued gratuity. However, Mabuza has challenged the retrenchment process in court. In another matter at the Mbabane Magistrate Court, foreign nationals accused of illegal online gambling raised concerns about the safety of their belongings left at the Castle Hotel. The accused raised the issue when they appeared before Principal Magistrate Fikile Nhlabathi. Their lawyer Nengqwede Ndlangamandla showed them that their property was safe. Some of the male accused also gave their lawyer flowers to deliver to their loved ones detained at Mawelawela prison on similar charges. Others gave letters written to their loved ones, including partners in their home countries. Correctional Services officers advised that the letters and flowers should be delivered at Mawelawela prison instead of court. The accused are expected back in court on the 12th of next month. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane Magistrate Court.
And in sports, Lungelo Zulu, spokesperson for the Umhluma Women and Youth Foundation, says former football legends have been encouraged to take part in spreading the message against gender-based violence because they are highly respected, especially among young people. Zulu was speaking during a gender-based violence awareness event organized by the Umhluma Women and Youth Foundation in Mankayane.
In the month of March this year, the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Thuli Dladla, officially launched a campaign against gender-based violence in partnership with the Umhluma Women and Youth Foundation. This campaign, which already started last week in Hlangano, continued today in Mangayane.
And the legend start to say I'm a role models abantu ingqumbi kunebantu lesafuna lebasafisa kubona boyuki safisa kubona bombazo and so now ufike la Mangayane nabantu abonyambekisa and so nasakhuluma lo sociology leyo vele bantu lebamnanzelako batawubese banako bayagwema ebathokode ukuthi ilegend yabo is taking a lead.
David Madlopa, the town chief executive officer of Mangayane, says they are very happy that the campaign has come to their town because they also have a similar campaign.
Lokho kuyahambisana lidolobha ngebantu so njenga Mangayane town board sineluhla sinelohhovisi lolubuka indzaba te-GBV edolobheni lo msebenzi lona uvele ukhona asikaphambukele.
Dr. Tembumezi Nchalinchali, the Senior Gender Analyst in the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister, says the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister is pleased to see former football players being part of the campaign.
Kuyasijabulisa kakhulu mhlambe sile office kubona ama-soccer legends. Ngiyathi ukuthi mhlambe labanye bangasho ukuthi hawu nina senikhetha ne-sports lesithite naso lesihambelana ne-violence. Ngitodona leto nzabalento noma mhlambe ngona leyo le approach leyo mhlambe kuyisho ukuthi ngisona relevant ukuthi vele asifuni le violence.
Skasi Dlamini, he represented the former football players legends team.
Kungaba lula kakhulu lo msebenzi sibambisane sonke silive sakhe live lethu kungabi lobudlwangudlwangu bekubulalana nekushayana emakhaya. Siyacela kuwo wonke umuntu nje lo legend yesport lesithite la kaNgwane ukuthi aparticipate ngaleyo ndlela kule association yabo nasemangweni la sihlala khona etindzaweni nasemisebentini.
The Muhluma campaign is expected to visit 16 towns and areas, which is the next stop is being Stegi. Reporting, I'm Linda Dlamini, Mangayane.
And with that, we wrap up our English news bulletin this morning. Kusile Breakfast Show continues after this.
Hi, I'm Golda. I work at the IMF. What is globalization? Well, think of it like a bridge between two countries. Now let's say this country is very good at growing flowers. It has the right soil and plenty of skilled farmers. And just across the river, that country loves flowers, but doesn't have the right soil to grow them. You can see where I'm going with this. With our bridge, trade has blossomed. This country makes money from selling flowers abroad, and that country can start new businesses and sell new products based on their newfound access to flowers. I mean, who doesn't love fresh flowers? Of course, it's not just flowers that can cross the bridge. It can be used to trade almost anything. Plus, there are pathways for investing, communicating, and exchanging ideas. And people can come and go too. Now, what does this have to do with globalization? Well, imagine bridges just like this, connecting countries all over the world, even countries on opposite sides of the planet. That's globalization. These bridges, these economic links, have made everything from food to electronics cheaper. And not just that, globalization has made the whole planet richer too, especially people in poorer countries. Over the past 30 years, 1.5 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. But this is only part of the story. While globalization has brought more benefits for more people than ever before, it's also true that not everyone has benefited from the increased wealth. For many people, it can appear the bridge is bringing more problems than flowers, and that the economy isn't working for everyone or every country. So what should we do? Well, the solution isn't to destroy our bridges or to throw out the rule book. That would leave us all poorer and less secure. So, do we maintain, rebuild, or redesign these bridges? Write new rules that help them to work better? Or search for new ways to ensure everyone can benefit? Probably all of the above. More than ever, we need international cooperation, countries working together, and the IMF working with its member countries to build the best possible bridges to get us to the future. That will not just be good for the economy, but good for people everywhere.
Ready to make your mark?
Boto University Eswatini campus, where vibrant learning meets innovative futures. Our ESHEC accredited programs with the skills to lead in today's world. Gain hands-on experience and launch a successful career. We're shaping the next generation of leaders and innovators. Admissions are now open. Boto University Eswatini campus, where vibrant learning meets innovative futures.
Making an impact.
One student at a time.
Welcome to the ultimate guide to your weekend entertainment. Get ready to groove with us as we bring you the hottest music videos and exclusive interviews with your favorite celebrities. Experience fresh music videos from new releases, underground sensations, and emerging talent. Whether you're hip-hop, amapiano, or afro, we've got something for everyone. And if you've missed out on any of the excitement, don't worry, we've got you covered. Join us for an electrifying journey through the music scene. Relive the magic and get inspired for your next weekend adventure. So tune into This Week at Eswatini for your weekly dose of music, entertainment, and unforgettable experience. Get ready to groove because the weekend starts here.
You got me stuck on you. Come on, it's a simple song. Sing with me. Say, you got me stuck on you.
We have come to pretty much, I want to say, almost the last conversation in our sports desk for at least this season, the Vesolosi Enjoyer from all the different leagues across the world. Of course, starting here at home, the Premier League of Eswatini, popularly known as the MTN Premier League of Eswatini, has also come to an end with Nsingizini Hotspurs emerging victorious. Of course, we do see that they've done it in fashion because they've also won the Ingwenyama Cup just recently, a conversation that we did have here in this very same studio with our analyst and sports journalist Fabrice Musonera. I mean, of course, outside of Eswatini in South Africa, we did see that Orlando Pirates is the big team this year, and a lot of Orlando Pirates fans right now are talking about that kit that has been unveiled as a thing of beauty. Perhaps we will touch base there a little bit. But in the English Premier League, somewhat of what Nsingizini has done this side. Arsenal winning the league and now in the Champions League final. Will they win the Champions League this weekend? We will only get to see that unfold this weekend in the Bundesliga. Borussia Dortmund emerging victorious then, of course, in the La Liga, FC Barcelona. A lot of victories that we have seen. Fabrice chimes in now and we start here at home. Fabrice, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. I think starting here at home, there has been a lot of key moments over the season, particularly around Nsingizini, but also a lot of other teams that stunned us and impressed us. But I think I want us to begin at something that was quite controversial in the beginning of the season. There was the fan behavior. I remember probably the most talked about game was when Tihlwele tifuna qabana na Rafaela. This is a team Kichimisa on the field of play. How has that progressed? Yeah, because obviously Nsingizini has eventually won, but how has that progressed over the season? Would you say was it de-escalated?
So it's a very good morning, Sfiso, for the viewers at home, and what a weekend you have in store in terms of also sporting codes. We touch on that. But would I say we have a difference we've seen a reduction in terms of how they behaved. I would say nothing really changed, because when you're referring to that a moment where we saw referees trying to allegedly assaulting a referee. It was a game against Singizini Hotspurs and Bawani Highlanders in the Ngonyama Cup, I remember. I don't think anything has changed. We've seen what we've seen a couple of years ago. After that moment, maybe one would say it was controlled. But in terms of fans' behavior, it was story as usual. Nothing much changed. But however, so one will compliment them. I think this season they came out in their number.
Yeah.
In their numbers, rather. They came out in their numbers. If you look at things in terms of fan base, they showed us that they're a growing team. Another team that I really think their supporters did come out in their numbers. Morani Pirates supporters did come out. We saw them in a couple of games, be it in Ngonyama Cup, be it League. So I think when you talk about the big three, of course, always present. Wanderers, after their tricky performance towards the end of the season, when we knew that they have been relegated, it was almost an empty stand in terms of Babane, rather Manzini Wanderers. But for Swallows and Highlanders, we have seen their presence, especially in games where they're involved, even in the derby recently broadcasted by Eswatini TV. So I think it's a season that had mixture of good moments and also moments that we should regret. I remember the moment you're referring to CAF. Actually, there was an envoy that was in the country to investigate the situation where it was really bad. But besides that, what a season! Things in back-to-back, winning the title for the first time. I feel in more than 10 years, this is the worst performance of the armed forces teams. Your Young Buffaloes, Royal Leopard, and Green Mamba. There was an article recently published in one of the local media, print media, is that no one is yet to hit, that distance that was declared by Royal Leopard, where they finished the league with 77 points. Now we're looking at mostly currently 65, 67, 68. Those are the moments we've seen in the past years, but now no one has already achieved what Royal Leopard has achieved. So it's a season that I would say I've seen teams showing signs of improving. Competition was at the highest level. Manzini Seabirds, a team that I think, for me, if you had to give a team of the season, yes, it's the champions, but Seabirds did display a good performance. They will always be a challenger. Teams like Rangers, teams like Eswatini United in the first round did show us that they are capable of doing something. So it's a season that I would say we've seen a few things that were surprising us. But once again, seeing Wanderers going down, Sisonge, and we have to count Marandi Chiefs, a team that I thought with their Serbian coach that they could stay, but they couldn't stay. Lucky to Amawele now that to be involved in the playoffs. So it's a season that had a lot of stories to talk about. But I think for me, from what we've seen this season, heading to the next season, teams are going to challenge. Teams that I see challenging, Bawani Highlanders will challenge based on how they performed, especially in the second round. I'm not sure about Morani Pirates, because I thought this season they were going to perform after the previous season, but they had a quite lazy performance. So I think Highlanders will perform. Seabirds once again will want to perform, and maybe one of the armed forces could be Young Buffaloes. They will perform.
Would you say the best team won?
I would say the best team won. And for me, at some point, I asked myself, letting go of some of the key players in WAC and Tiger just in the middle of the season. But you went on as a team to just lift the trophy. Have a treble season, 8-bet trade fair, Ngonyama Cup, and the league. Then for me, that was enough to say these guys are good enough to do anything.
What are they doing right that the other teams are not getting right? If like you're saying, they let go of some of, big talents and really, really special talents, and they were still able to compete at the highest level.
Having Coach Mandla Koki, the South African mentor, in the studio on Monday for the sports show, he did highlight the importance of, pre-season. It was a good pre-season. They had that. Also, their recruitment system is quite unbelievable, because there's a South African player they brought in, Senzo Ndlovu, and then I think he came in January after just the departure of Gwake and Tiger. And what he did, for me, I think he boosted that team. He has a background in some of the world-teams such as Amazulu and Highbury from the ABC Motsepe. So he came and just changed the image of the team. So I think their recruitment system pre-season and the togetherness was very key for them.
How do you assess Sean Mkhize's introduction into the league and how, she's been able to run that club amidst all the unpopularity that she had coming in and everything that was said? Would you say she rose above all the narratives?
I think she did. Couple of things you want to mention is maybe we'll touch on that. The cancer that is now attacking the so-called big three teams, where you, Sfiso, you want to be in charge of the team. Financially, you've got the muscle to run the team. But because I've been sitting on that chair for more than 20 years, so I feel like if you come in, you take over, then all of a sudden I say, you were never invited. I think this has been killing teams, As we speak, Sfiso, if she wasn't there, I don't think they were going to perform the way they performed, to finish within the top 6-7. I think since she came in, the change in the performance of the team, it was a brilliant performance, especially the second round. There was a different side of Mbabane Highlanders that we saw, which I think, that's why I think I give them a chance to really compete come next season.
Yeah.
So when we look at the other side of Mbabane, then what a poor season. And before the season, Begunem Sin was Swiss, PTY LTD and association. And from what we're gathering, the Eswatini sports desk is that the same noise is back again, Sfiso, because tomorrow, Saturday, as we speak, there's a meeting that has been called by the PTY LTD. So now it's off-season, so we're now back to it again. We're going to spend the entire off-season talking about PTY or association, who has the right, who has, and that is distracting the team. As we speak tomorrow, Saturday, there's a meeting that has been called. If nothing changes, if nothing is cancelled, but before we came in the studio, there was a meeting scheduled tomorrow at St. Mark's from the PTY LTD side.
Yeah.
So association would probably have their say in this issue. So it's a lot. Go to Manzini Wanderers. They will tell you now what they want to do. They're relegated side. Good thing that now there's a bit of stability with Mbabane Highlanders. There were some trending images with the club president and the players just enjoying champagne, calling off at the end of the season to say, just go home and rest, come back on the 1st of July, let's prepare for the season.
Yeah.
So that's the stability you want from the team.
100%.
But for other side of Mbabane's, I'm really worried. But to answer your question, it was a good season for the pool, and I think for me they'll compete next season.
100%. I do want, speaking of meetings and, PTY LTDs and, all of that conversation, all of that talk, it's very important that we also talk about, Fabrice, what we have seen happen administratively. And I want to hear your honest opinion here. How do you think the Football Association has done? We have seen so many headlines, and I don't think we've seen this before. Headlines around just the administration of the governing body of a sporting league. I don't care if it's Eswatini or the English Premier League or South Africa. We saw so many headlines. Of course, some of them were attributed to certain laws with regards to how teams are reacting to certain situations. How would you assess the Football Association has done? What do they need to fix? I wouldn't want 2027 to read the chairman of this or, Peter Samara Smith. I don't want so many headlines around Bapas. I want to watch football, and I want headlines to be about scores and special players.
We need to capacitate more football officials. They are just lacking a lot in terms of regulations, constitution, law about football. So things are changing. There's an official who doesn't know that now, goalkeeper can't hold a ball for some specific seconds. These are the laws that FIFA is changing every day. And how are you an administrator and you don't know such things? So I think for me, Football Association, there's more capacitating programs they need to do. I did hear that, Coaches Association would have a couple of meetings during the off-season. I'm sure also the Referees Association will do the same. But I think there is more work needs to be done in ensuring that we have an idea of what we're talking about. We can't just say because I watch football, just because I watch Champions League or I watch the Betway Premiership, singing at football. They are the deeper inside stories of watching football. So the problem we have locally is that we take our own knowledge and we want to display it in how we see it. And I think that's where we've been getting it wrong. So we've seen incidences. This was an embarrassment, Swiso. There was a team in the National First Division went to play a league game, with 6 players. And the game went on to play.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been
and
the game.
How funny the story is. So the players were late. So they found the game in and then continued. The other 5 players joined the 6 players to finish the game. And that team won the game.
And that team
won the game. And so for God's sake, that's a first division where we want to see the youngest. That's where we want to see the product growing.
Yeah.
Starting a game with 6 players, 5 players join you later, and they win the game.
Yeah.
And it was normal. Nothing has happened.
Yeah, that's very wrong.
We've talked about players going on the field without
So
boots.
capacity building.
Capacity building.
From the official side of things.
So if sometimes you and I can be in the studio, and then we come out to meet people in town. Hey, you guys were harsh, man. We're not harsh. So if this thing is not working for us, let's just let it go.
It has to be addressed.
Yeah. If we have, so we've got 16 teams. Why do we have 16 teams? For a country of 1 million. Why? In Scotland, it's 12. They play 3 rounds.
Much bigger
3
than
rounds.
us.
Which means 3 rounds, which means first round you play 11 games, second you play 11, that's 22. The third round you play 33 games. Then that's it.
The season's over.
So if it's hard, get 10 teams. 10, even 12. I still feel like even 12 is too much. People here talk about 14 is okay, 12 is okay. I still feel like 10 is okay for a country of our own. Take the so-called big 3. Take
2 from the Kusile region, maybe.
Okay, maybe to put it that way, one would say you want to select your own teams. Let the teams who deserve to be there, but let them be 10. But if you're talking about the big 3, that's 3. Probably add the Forces, that's 6. Then add things in the Morning Pirates or Seabirds, and then maybe close the door. 10.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, not to say other teams have anything against them. Close the door, 10 teams. Play 3 rounds. Everywhere it's done like that. Zimbabwe, everywhere. Minimize the number of teams. That's why we can't see quality.
That's why some other teams are just participating, others are competing. There's a difference.
The recent coach, the white, from Serbia we had, he did say, for a country like Eswatini.
Who was that again? It's,
shortly we can remember the name myself, but he didn't.
And with the Vich.
Yes. So he did mention that you cannot have 1 million and just have a league of 16 teams, because then that means each team gives you 20 players fee. So can you tell me at the end of the season you've got 320 players to choose from?
Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't. So let's have small teams. But no matter how long we can debate this, this will be the case all the time. But I feel like there's a lot we're doing wrong. That's why you have teams that are not complying. That's why you and I, as FISO, will meet on a game, and you're wearing red, I'm wearing red. You ask yourself, who is away, who is home? There was no communication. Those are silly small things that football, in the world of football, those things are no more happening.
Yeah.
But it starts with, we want to be the front side of the local football. But we can't if we're not doing well. South Africa had a journey where things were not going well. But they've corrected that mistake. Where I would say the biggest idea of them becoming now a successful country in football is the amount of effort they have put in that tournament, the SuperSport Diski. That Diski Challenge League has produced 95% of the players that were called by Hugo Broos on Wednesday evening. Talk about Sipho Chen, talk about the likes of Mofokeng, talk about Modiba, Mdau, all the players that were called by the national team to head to the World Cup are from this Diski Challenge. Yeah. If you go and look at the 2016, 17, 18, 19, including himself, Lil Foster, they're from the Diski Challenge. They invested in that youth program.
Yeah.
If we're not doing the same, if we want to see, I'm going to give an example, he won't be offended. If you want to see Skadi playing more 20 seasons, not in a bad way, but he's one of the greatest strikers we've had in the modern generation. He's a good striker, but I also feel like his time is almost done. Then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's when you go to Kosafa, if it happens to have Kosafa this year, you have to select him. You don't have anyone to select. It's because we're not introducing anything that will make us grow. But at the end of the day, overall, it was a good season.
Absolutely.
I think for me, we've had a good season, but we could do better next season. But let's capacitate football officials. Let's capacitate administrators. There's a lot they need to learn.
And let's behave better as the fans.
Yeah, let's behave better, yeah.
The fans need to really behave better. Were you referring to Zdravko Lugorisic when you were that Croatian coach?
Yes.
He left last year, September.
Yeah, Lugorisic, the former Sihlangu coach,
I mean, Fabrice, before we come to the UEFA Champions League, so it's Sihlangu Samnikati just as a brand, as a team that should compete. The king even said himself, it's time that we win games. And he says sometimes they start better, and next thing you hear, well, we have lost again. The opponents have scored more goals. It's almost becoming a thing that is a norm. And yet there's so much investment into that team. What do we need to get right now? Are we getting things right? Who is the head coach? What is the current status with Sihlangu Samnikati?
I think I did say it last time when I was here. We talked about the national team to say Pep Guardiola just left Manchester City. Mm-hmm. If you had the money as a country to hire him and get Pep, even if Pep gets here, there's nothing he will fix. It's the same Hugo Bros. It's the same story. I keep referring to South Africa, their neighboring country. It's the same story that Hugo Bros told the South Africans when they gave him a job. He told them, it's a mess. You don't deserve even to put on the national team jersey. It's a mess. It took him how long now to make the team the way it is? So we cannot get, even if you get Pep, we cannot. There's a lot we're doing wrong.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me the next AFCON is 2027, probably later on. If we have a target, if I have a target, I always say, tell yourself this is 2026. Keep an eye on the 2031 AFCON.
Yeah.
From now, tell yourself, we want to go to 2031 AFCON. How do you start planning? Just have a league of its own, of the under-20s. Just have a league running, probably. Get your sponsors, Instacash. And it's a pity because you look at also these companies, how now they have shifted their focus. A specific company will come and put in 3 million in schools.
Sure.
Then you ask yourself,
sure,
okay, wait, what happened? Why can't they put it in the league? They have a reason because they can see that maybe something is being cooked upstairs is not worth it. So I'm sorry to say that. But we have to be fair. We have to be fair, Sfiso. We have gone now so far 3 knockout tournaments. You know, in 8-bet, in Ngoyama Cup. Apparently there's another one on the table, but soon to be confirmed. But if maybe we can add more, but we need a league of its own for a specific age. We say under 22 and going down. This league runs for a good probably 2 to 3 seasons. The players get promoted. We attach these players to international clubs, and they come. Come 2031, so if we plan and we prepare, we will do things better. As long as we still feel like, you know what, we get a guy from Australia or a guy from Turkey or whatever, come, he watched 2 games in the league, he will say, you know what, Green Mamba is the only team I think is performing. He will call 2 players from Green Mamba, go to Young Buffaloes, 2 players, Swallows, 2 players. It will remain the same, you know. That's why they said the more things change, the more they remain the same.
They remain the same, of course.
So we're not doing anything, clearly.
Please fix that, the right people. We hope that they are listening and they can do the right thing going into the next season. So much money is being invested into football, and we want to see it bear some fruit, really. Fabrice?
Before maybe you cut, you did touch on South Africa when you did. Look at now what's just happened with Pirates and Sundowns. And 90% of the players that are going to the World Cup are from both teams. Sundowns just won the CAF Champions League for the 2nd time in 10 years now. And like I was referring to, the players that just won the league, and I mean the CAF Champions League, is the players that have been prepared from that aspect. Yes, they have got the financial muscle. But even if we don't have the financial muscle, are we doing anything in our control that at least would groom those players? There's a team, so that when we hosted the under-20 COSAFA, just like after COVID, 2021, 2022, I'm sure you remember at the Somplo National Stadium, there was a squad. That was the under-20. I did ask one official at the Football Association, can you tell me 10 players, or rather not even 10, 5 players from that squad that play the under-20 COSAFA at Somplo National Stadium? They can't tell you where the players are.
Yeah, anyway, we can talk all day about local football, but I think as a parting shot, it's been a good season.
Yeah, it's been a good season.
There's been a lot of downs. Certainly, we've enjoyed some ups, and congratulations to Singizini Hotspurs once again. We go into the English Premier League, where obviously Arsenal won, and we had that conversation, but not particularly the English Premier League. I just want to highlight Arsenal because Arsenal might have a chance to do what Kusile has done, winning the league and now the UEFA Champions League, which is going to be played this weekend. Let's talk about this final. We are not going to talk about the whole UEFA, run into the finals, but just the final. What do we expect to see in this final game?
And the odds are telling me the best team won't win. The best team is PSG.
The best team is PSG.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a good team.
Why is Arsenal going to win?
It's that defensive mentality we did talk about
last week.
Yeah. I feel like if you try to match their standard, PSG, they will hurt you where it hits the most. Don't try to do what they do. The counterattacks, the
no first leg or second leg.
No, just the final.
Is that they're both playing away?
Yeah, that's a fair. I think that's another thing we need to clear, Swiso, because people have been asking why CAF can't do what European countries do, play the final, just one final. But now I also did my research. I came to understand, Swiso, it is quite hard in Africa, because in Europe the traveling system is easy. You can come from here, from Germany to Italy to Turkey to Belgium to France. The traveling system is quite easy. It's not expensive. But you cannot ask Sundowns supporters to go watch their game. If the final is in stage in Cameroon, for instance, you cannot ask Sundowns fans to fly to Cameroon. Or you cannot ask Algerian fans. So you in Europe, it's easier, the train and the traveling system. That's why if you look at the Europa League on Wednesday, the Conference League, the supporters that were just inside that Leipzig Red Bull Stadium, Crystal Palace supporters traveling to James. So the traveling system is easy. So that's why they have one leg. But in Africa, it's hard because you can ask if Swallows or Kusile was to reach the final and they play Casablanca. So you stage the final in Tanzania. How many Kusile supporters can travel to Tanzania? So the away and home system works. So I think coming back to the final, I think the best team will play, PSG will play. They will hit the ground running. But I think Arsenal, with that defensive mentality, this might just be their lucky Saturday.
You see this game going to penalties?
Yeah, no, I don't think it. We might see extra times, but I don't think it will go to penalties. Yeah. Don't expect a lot of goals as well. Just don't.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just briefly about FC Barcelona winning the La Liga. They've had a good season themselves. Lewandowski has been amazing.
And his last season now.
Yeah, his last season. But to cap a season off like that, it's a really good fashion. And officially a legend. His jersey should be hung on the rafters.
Yeah. I think it's one of the moments I would say he enjoyed his career. So I think for Barcelona, we're lifting it against Real Madrid, who also was competing. What a season for Madrid, which I think Mourinho has got a tough job to do come next season. They don't win the league. They don't win the Champions League. I think it's been just competitive. I think it's been a worst season ever. And you talk about having key players in Mbappe, Vinicius, and Bellingham. I think there'll be a little bit of reshuffle from Mourinho when he gets there. He needs to change things. Things are not working for them. But I think for Barcelona, now I hear that they have actually agreed a fee of £70 million with Gordon from Newcastle. So I think he's a good player. The question is, if he's coming in, then what happens to Rashford? Because there was an issue of trying to extend his loan. Anthony Gordon going to Barcelona, it's a good deal. He's a good player. So they're now trying to, extend or rather, getting more good players in the group, which I think if they keep doing that, then once again, there'll be a tighter contender.
Now, above all and everything, which has been the most exciting league amongst all the leagues around the world?
I think for me, it's the English Premiership. Yeah, it'll give you that. You'll be on the edge of your seat. Week 32, then week 35, you're comfortable. Week 37, you're not comfortable. So it's the English Premiership. 22 years without lifting the trophy, which I feel like it has now opened the door for the Gunners. And then you ask yourself, with now Pep gone, because on 3 occasions where Arteta was number 2, he was denied by Pep. And it's just small margin of points, 2 points, 3 points, 5 points. So I think for me, he will dominate. Maresca will come and have a good team, but I think they will compete. Liverpool, don't forget them. They have got a challenge with their coach, but I think also they will compete. So I see Arsenal, City, and Liverpool competing next season. Chelsea and Manchester slightly just behind a bit.
And that is how we close the curtain for all the football leagues across the world. And we expect a thriller this coming weekend in the UEFA Champions League final. We hope that it is going indeed to be a beautiful game, and we'll come back here and discuss what really happened. Fabrice obviously is saying the best team might not win, but and of course he's alluding to PSG not winning it and Arsenal winning it based on what he has been saying all along, their defensive prowess. So indeed, we are all excited to see that game over the weekend, and I want to say enjoy that weekend and enjoy it responsibly when we come back next week, healthy and standing on our own too. Goodbye.